Hello these days, it seems to be getting harder and harder to give any sincere advice. When you give a word of advice to someone out of good intentions, it could backfire on you as a busybody, butting in unnecessarily. As for me, I feel bits of advice from experienced elders are very helpful, and I have a lot to learn from them as they have the wisdom to deal with problems in life. As seniors in life, older people have the wisdom and experience where no matter how much the world changes, there is an unchanging truth, and that is health is the best. I feel a bit embarrassed to say that myself. I'm a very successful self-made businesswoman who founded and is the president of a solid IT-related company. My parents, who died at an early age, lived a very difficult life, wandering from a flea market here and there without a designated space of their own. Even though my parents were struggling financially, I can vouch for them that they were very upright people who earned the respect from others. As long as I can remember, they always worked very hard, waking up 2 hours earlier in the morning to start their day and finished working 2 hours later than anyone else. However, in the corner of my heart, I would often feel a pang because I felt sorry for their hardship. Of course, I respected them as I felt they were very great people. When I turned 16 and became more mature, I would see how hard they worked and sympathize with their situation. Abby? Yes. Mom, I'm your daughter, right? Well, I'm not sure. I don't think you're a son. Ha, very funny. I'm your daughter, so I think this way. And will you listen to me? What do you mean? Let me hear about it. I really want you and Dad, even for just one day, sleep just 1 more hour. You guys get up too early in the morning and shove down cold leftover food from the night before and rush out to work in a hurry. I want you to sleep at least 1 more hour and eat warm food made by your precious daughter. Moe, and go to work. I'm at an age where I could cook a hot breakfast, aren't I? Just thinking about it makes me feel so touched and impressed. How delicious that hot breakfast made by our daughter must be. However, Janet, this is my thinking. There's a wise saying that an early bird catches more worms, right? So that early bird catches a worm, and to whose mouth will it go in? The baby bird? It's the same for your dad and me. We can't afford like other parents to send you to private lessons or study abroad and hire a foreign language tutor. But whatever we are able to do, we want to do them all. Do them all for you. That's why we get up earlier and finish later in order to work. Then do it like this. There's a wise saying that water upstream must be clean for the water downstream to stay clean, right? So from now on, I will get up 2 hours earlier and make you hot breakfast. It would be great for me to go to school early to preview my studies, and since you work hard, I, the downstream water, can't be lazy and be murky, right? That was how I took after my parents as my role model to be a hardworking person. Thanks to my studying total of 4 hours more each day than my peers, I was able to go to an Ivy League university and graduated with a perfect 4.0 GPA and earned a national scholarship from the government to go abroad to study. My accomplishments were all due to the great influences my parents had on me, and I owed it to my parents. I was also very fortunate to get a sincere husband who was highly regarded by others, even though he grew up in a very poor family. However, while living a life of a model citizen, there was one major thing that I overlooked, and that was not maintaining my good health. In my early 30s, when I was married for a year, I started to feel a strange discomfort in the lower abdomen with a sudden increased menstrual bleeding and increased weight. But at the time, I was very busy at work, so I didn't have the time to pay any attention. And deep inside, I felt I was young, so I thought nothing big would happen and just dismissed it as no big deal. I never dreamed that it would be the most dangerous mistake of my life. On the day that all the incidents started, I'd been working all night in the office for several days. There were so many things to coordinate before renewing our business contract with one of the most important clients of our company. But during the meeting, I thought, did I doze off? When I opened my eyes, I was in the emergency room of a university hospital. Hexy, I was confused and woke up to find next to me my husband and his parents on behalf of my parents in heaven. My husband relayed the doctor's words that I should be tested, and until then I understood and passed it off as just a routine health checkup. I thought I fainted because of built-up fatigue from overworking for so long. Of course, I wasn't too worried. I was calm and felt like I could go back to work if I got a good night's sleep after getting my IV. I thought of increasing the employees' fringe benefits for those who work hard for my company, but the situation started to change rapidly the day I received the test results. Mrs. Janet West, isn't your husband here or any family member? My husband went to work for a while to take care of vacation, and my mother-in-law went to the restroom. Do I need them? Well, I think it would be much better for patients. Much better for patients to have a family member by their side to rely on rather than to listen alone. Oh, something is definitely wrong. In an instant, my heart sank. Just then, my mother-in-law came back, and my hunch became reality. Do you have any special medical conditions in your family? Not from your in-laws, but from your parents' side? Yes, both of my parents had cancer. I see. I would like to first say that you will need a few more tests until accurate results are obtained. Why? A tumor was found in the lower abdomen, judging by the location and its shape. It is suspected to be a malignant tumor, that is, it is presumed to be cancer. I was shocked. The biopsy results were not different from those of the attending physician. I was diagnosed to have stage 4 cervical cancer. I learned only then, unlike other cancer, cervical cancer does not cause pain or obvious symptoms. Many cases are found in the advanced stages of the disease. Fortunately, cervical cancer has a good prognosis, so the survival rate after treatment is close to ADI. But for patients like me, who are found in a state that has reached stage 4, the survival rate was very low as about 25 or so. The horrible news didn't stop there. I was still young, so I had high hopes that I would be able to get into the 25 survival rate. However, it turned out that cancer is a much more dangerous disease for young people. This is because the younger you are, the faster and the more cancer cells are created quickly. I couldn't be hopeful. It was a grim situation. The fact that broke my heart more than anything was the diagnosis that I would not be able to have any children. I was devastated that I couldn't be a parent. Fortunately, at least I hadn't lived in vain. The life I lived faithfully did not allow me to fall into despair. When news spread that I was admitted to the cancer ward, many people came and helped me. They gave me words of comfort, saying that they were grateful for my help in the past, and among them, strangely, were the wise old sayings that rang in my ears. Even if you go into a tiger's den, you will survive as long as you hold on to your senses. So stay alert and don't give up. Even if the world collapses, the sun will rise the next morning. So don't be discouraged and persevere through it. The care given by my husband and my mother-in-law also helped me overcome the painful chemotherapy. Especially my mother-in-law's warm care made me wonder, could even my real parents be so dedicated to me like her? She never left my side for a moment. It was to the extent that she even fed me. I was able to get back to health quickly, enough for surgery. However, on the very day when the date of surgery was set, my mother-in-law said something very unexpected in passing. There's one friend from my hometown whose daughter-in-law died first. Was it a car accident? It was cancer, cervical cancer like you. Really? She briefly went into the operating room, saying that her family would go on an overseas trip after she got discharged from the hospital. But in the end, she never opened her eyes again. Why are you telling me that now? It means that things in the world don't always go according to people's wishes. Wait, I'm not finished yet, so be still and listen to me. After the death of the daughter-in-law, a commotion broke out. She, like you, was a businesswoman who owned a large company. But because she didn't set the inheritance paperwork in advance regarding the shares and so forth, she ended up giving her inheritance to unintended people. Her family hardly got any inheritance except a few pennies worth. What a pity. What if that happens to us? I'm about to have that surgery. It's not a small operation, and it's a big one. Do you have to say something like that to me now? You never know what will happen to people. So if you have something to organize your assets, clear it up in advance. Anna, lower your voice. This is a hospital. How can I not raise my voice after hearing that I should prepare for inheritance in advance, because there is a high probability of my dying? To be honest, if you die without children and grandchildren, what will be left for me or for your husband? Nothing will be left except the inheritance. Mother, you look very strange today. Originally, people are constantly changing. I don't know. Please do not come to the hospital in the future. It's going to be hard for me to see your face for a while. I think it would be more comfortable for me to have a higher caretaker. I know, for those who are about to undergo life or death surgery, it is natural to prepare personal affairs in case of death. So, from the moment I was admitted to the cancer ward, I already had my personal affairs in mind. If something goes wrong with me, the person who will take care of my assets as my executor would be my husband. But that day, the reason I was in a bad mood was due to my mother-in-law's attitude. She said it as if she was expecting me to die, and she openly expressed her greed and expectation of inheritance in front of me, who had endured painful chemotherapy in order to somehow be ready for my surgery. As the saying goes, you can never know one's mind, and it was not possible for me to clearly know what my mother-in-law was thinking, who suddenly revealed her grief for the inheritance. But I could clearly feel this one thing, that she was quite different from when she once took care of me so tenderly before. Therefore, I decided to keep my distance from my mother-in-law for the time being, and since that day, she didn't come to visit me at the hospital either. But just because I couldn't see her, that didn't mean that I could relax, because she began checking on my status at every mealtime. The more I thought about her behavior when she steadfastly sent text messages, even though I didn't send a single reply, the more she seemed bizarre. What's wrong with checking the health of her daughter-in-law, who's a cancer patient? My mother-in-law's message started with a very ordinary way to say hello. The real problem was the last phrases that came after it, asking if I didn't want to see my dead parents, who died first, or do not resent the world too much, as one's life is set by God. How is this any different from saying that she marked me as someone who will die soon? The repeated morose text messages made me choke, and I ended up blocking her phone number. I was caught blocking her number by my husband, but he thankfully turned a blind eye to it. In the meantime, an unexpected angel came to me. It was a new caretaker, a grandma, who took care of me well enough that my husband could leave to go to work with peace of mind. She had a charm who knew exactly what I needed, and most of all, she was very wise, as if she knew all the answers to the problems in life. I don't know why the people with the in-laws attached are like that. Grin me? I'm sorry. Did I intervene presumptuously? These days, young people don't like other people meddling in their affairs. It's okay. I'm thankful for having someone to talk to since I am bored after my husband goes to work. But what did you just mean? People with in-laws? I heard it all that day while taking care of another patient. Your mother-in-law seemed to only care about the inheritance you will leave. Yes, I honestly don't know. She was such a nice person, but why did she suddenly change? Oh my God, the precious thing is the bloodline, but sometimes money is thicker than blood. Oh, my money is over bloodline. I couldn't help but smile at the grandma's sarcastic joke. Don't get me wrong, it's not a compliment that money is the best, but rather it's saying that it's money that makes people blind. Anyway, be sure to eat all your dinner. Scrape it off and eat it all. If you eat so little like a lunch, your health won't improve. Eating will give you energy. You have to be strong so you can overcome the difficult surgery with confidence. Yes, confidently. The grandma who came to take care of me, like that became the only source of cheerful energy for my difficult hospital life. She said that one day, she thought of me while passing by and brought me snacks from time to time for me, who was getting tired of plating hospital food. She said that she brought just anything. But it was immediately visible to my eyes that she was quite experienced in hospital care. She asked my primary care doctor what would be good for my health and was meticulous to avoid any unhealthy snack. I spent a lot of time with her, who was such a caregiver, and gradually began to forget the stress from my mother-in-law. I finally got into the operating room with a fit body and mind intact. It was such a difficult surgery that all the medical staff, starting with the attending physician, said that the prognosis was unpredictable, but the result was successful. Along with cervical cancer having the lowest mortality rate, it was a miracle created by the consolation I received from my caretaker, my will to live, and the hearts of my medical staff, who wanted to save my life. However, after recovering from the surgery, I returned to the general hospital room, but my husband was not by my side when I opened my eyes. He didn't show up the whole time I was recovering. Only my caregiver grandma held my hands every day and said her prayers of thanks. The situation was so strange to me, but I couldn't bear to ask. The grandma's eyes, as if looking at her sick daughter, told me to focus on my recovery now. It wasn't until the day I was discharged, as I had almost recovered my health, that the grandma told me everything she knew. She said, "You're done shaking off that damn disease now, right?" Yes, according to my doctor. It is necessary to observe the prognosis for the next 5 years before a cure can be determined. But the surgical procedure was so good and my recovery is fast, so there's no big concern. It's good, honey. It's really good. How tell me? I've regained my health so much, right? Well, I work here and there to take care of my granddaughter, who lost her parents early. And that's when we ran into each other. Who? On the day you went into the operating room. I went to a realtor's office to do cleaning work and your husband was sitting there. My husband? Not my mother-in-law? I came to see the land. I was perplexed. Remember when I said that the most precious thing is the bloodline? The word has a good meaning, that the love between family members is that deep, but it also has a dark meaning. To put it simply, it means that the same parents will produce the same children. Just like your mother-in-law, who first was greedy over your money, even your husband, who pretended to care, was just like his mom, greedy over your money first. Yes, it seems that was the case. But how could he know of any money that I don't know about? It seems to him it was money from the moment you got cancer. Pardon, he asked a realtor to recommend him a stable property for him. It's good even if the land was expensive. Because of his wife's... If his wife's surgery goes wrong, her entire fortune is about to fall on him as his inheritance. And even if the operation goes well, he will divorce her on the pretext of infertility, and he will get half of her fortune. He seemed very friendly with the real estate agent. Do you know Wilson's realtor? I know, he's from my husband's hometown, and they have been quite close since childhood. Anyway, thanks for letting me know. How can I repay you for this? For now, carefully engrave what I said. You mean money is sometimes thicker than bloodlines. That means that the person who gets once hooked by the terrible spell of money, a family or not, he won't be able to reason. So from now on, you have to be firm and behave wisely. Yes, thanks for the advice. After leaving the hospital, I repeated my caregiver's words that I should behave wisely, and I headed straight to my in-laws' house. Coincidentally, my mother-in-law was arguing with her son without even knowing that I had arrived. My husband, who was in a situation where he had put up a down payment on the land by taking all of his savings, was begging his mother that if he extracted alimony from me, he will definitely pay her back, and asking her to help him pay the balance for the property he bought. In response, my mother-in-law told him she was broke and shouted at her son. On the other hand, she kept asking him about the results of my surgery and whether it was true that the surgery went well. She asked what was the probability of my death since she heard many people die within 5 years after the surgery. Ignoring being a mother and son, they were fighting ferociously, which left only one thought in my mind, that once a person is hooked on the terrible smell of money, that person won't be reasonable, whether it's a family member or not. What my caretaker told me, it was so true. I'm sorry for spoiling the atmosphere. I think it's a waste to watch you guys alone. There's no comedy like this. When would you come? What did the doctor say? The doctor said that your cancer will recur soon, right? It's unfortunate for you, Mother. The doctor said my prognosis is very good. The recovery is fast, so I won't have to worry too much in the future. She looked disappointed. Why? Are you disappointed because you can't take my money? But isn't it kind of funny? Even if the surgery goes wrong, I know that it will go to my husband, not to you, Mother. My money is my son's money, and my son's money is all my money. Why would we argue between a mother and son? That's not it, Mom. Don't you know that once I get married and moved out, my properties are my own? That's your second, so wait for your turn. Let me ask a question while we're talking about it. We are talking about it, Mother. Why are you suddenly greedy for my money? You weren't like that when your surgery date was set. I went to your house to pack up your things, and while I was there, I was cleaning the house and happened to see your bank statement and saw the balance. It was several $100,000, as well as your company's stocks in high value. So how could I not flip over? When you die, hundreds of $1,000s are on the line. If I had my way, I would have pulled a lifeline of yours in the hospital. At least you're so honest that you got blinded by money. Then my husband intervened. That's why my wife Janet is telling you, Mom. That's not your money. Even if something happened to her, all of that money is mine. I asked my husband, did you just say your wife? Honey, of course, you are my wife. Are you a stranger then? Well, since I haven't been divorced due to infertility yet, I guess we're legally married, right? Were you listening? Since when? You should be careful. There are ears on the wall too. Even if I hadn't come here today, it would have been revealed someday. While I was getting surgery, you went around looking to buy land, counting on getting alimony from me. Funny. Oh right, there was one more thing to believe in, the inheritance. You've already heard everything, so why do you keep asking just to be annoying? Do you know what you started? Do you know what you messed up for that money? Called to motherhood? You put the salt in the wound of my not being able to become a parent. Rather than comforting me, you shouldn't have used it against me. So what? Shall we come now and make up a lie as an excuse? Even so, you wouldn't let it go. Retaliation. For now, both of you follow me. I'll give you some good news. After taking the two of them, I arrived at my college alumni's office, who has become a lawyer. My husband and his mother looked nervous to be in the lawyer's office. I spoke calmly to the lawyer. Someone told me that you never know what would happen in life. I'm going to designate an executor and beneficiary of my will in advance. Is it possible to do it now? Is there anyone who has been specially appointed? I answered, why do I need to say it? It's obviously my husband. The moment I said it, I saw a glaring smile on my husband's and my mother-in-law's faces. I continued, please, file the divorce case. All reasons attributable go towards this bastard. My husband looked startled. Why are you so surprised for a person who schemed so bravely to confiscate half of my money? What are you talking about, honey? There's no evidence. Mr. Jacobs, you do the argument in front of a court judge. You fool. And why is there no evidence? Why would I, who went to the very edge of death and came back, realizing more than anyone else how precious each minute and every second is, bother to have a QA session with you guys, whom I don't ever want to see again, even in my dreams? After I finished talking, I played the cell phone recording file. It was a recording file that contained all the things I deliberately asked my husband and my mother-in-law at the in-laws' house a while ago. At that moment, my husband and his mother quickly knelt in front of me and began to beg for forgiveness. It was only after I recorded their promises that they would not even come within 500 yards of me and agree to a divorce without any alimony. As soon as the agreement was reached, they made an unsightly run out of the attorney's office. That day, there was a different reason for me to quietly divorce him without receiving alimony, when I was so angry to put him away in prison for malicious, intentional emotional distress. You know, I don't know about you. My attorney chastised me. I'm your attorney, aren't I? If you had left it all to me, I would have gotten you properly with alimony plus compensation for malicious, intentional emotional distress. Why did you give him an uncontested divorce? Even if I don't step on him, he's on his way to his self-ruin. Originally, they were very poor, and he put all the money earned and saved as a down payment on a piece of land, which he can't afford. He was going to pay the balance with the alimony money that he was going to rip off from me, but now that scheme is out of the window. It means he will lose his down payment. He reaps what he sows. He asked for it. My husband ended up losing all his savings, as I had predicted. He couldn't pay the balance of the real estate, so he lost the entire down payment. I think the relationship between my husband and his mother became the way my caretaker had said, where money was thicker than blood. My husband resented his mother for not coming up with the balance amounts on his property, and his mother blames him for getting divorced from a wife who laid golden eggs with his imperfect schemes. I've recovered all my health. It has been 8 years since I underwent cancer surgery, and my doctor said I was cured, with the realization that health is the most important thing. I'm much healthier than before my battle with cancer, thanks to exercising and taking care of my body. What happened to my caregiver, the grandma? Of course, I'm steadily repaying her kindness. However, she refused me when I offered her monetary compensation. I just visit to see her often, to continue our friendship. She has taught me another lesson when I asked how I could repay her kindness. The way to repay her true kindness is to repay her by just keeping in touch with her often. The gifts in her lonely life. She said that seeing me often and continuing our relationship are true rewards. My story ends here. After all, having good health is the best. Don't forget, please cheer for me and rate your comments of wisdom in the comment section. Pressing like and subscription is a big help to me. Take care.